Hi guys, I'm here today with Stu from Tough Enough to Care. So I'm going to hand over to you to explain what you do, really.
Cheers, Dave. Yeah, hello everybody. I'm Stu, the founder and CEO of Tough Enough to Care. We're a mental health charity that are very passionate about supporting people and not labels, the labels that get put onto anyone in this life. If you need mental health support, we are there for you. We offer weekly peer support groups in various locations across the UK. We have partnered with Shout to offer a text support service, which is available 24/7 for people. And also, we go into places, grassroots sports clubs, community groups, and into businesses to deliver all types of awareness talks and training just to promote the conversation around mental health and try and reduce the stigma around it.
Right. How many years have you been doing that for now?
So, we set up in March 2019 after I lost two friends to suicide within 4 days of each other. And
Yes.
up until that point, mental health had never really figured on my radar. It wasn't a thing other than it was weak, it was selfish, man up, and all those horrible negative terms and phrases that you hear. And it took losing two friends in quick succession for me to finally wake up and realise that it was a problem that we shouldn't shy away from.
It is so true, isn't it? There's always been a stigma, and we're kind of raised to be a certain way, to act a certain way, to believe we need to conduct ourselves in a certain manner. And it isn't healthy. I do think there's been a lot of development, and charities like yourselves have really helped get that word out that we need to alter. I recently shared a video where I explained that after my heart condition I suffered, and I was fortunate enough that my wife basically found me a counsellor and went, "You're going to start seeing them." And I never put myself down as someone that would need to. I'm not saying I'm a bang me chest alpha male, but I would have seen it as weak. I really, it helped me get back to a normal life and deal with some things that I didn't even know I hadn't dealt with, really. So I always encourage people, and I kind of try and share that story with my staff because, in particular, I'm supposed to be the guy who's tough and not weak, aren't I? I'm the horrible boss. What a powerful reason to set up the charity, and I guess that's kind of kept you going, knowing you're doing it in memory of your two friends, really.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I used to see that the old saying, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I used to think, it's just another one to hang on the toilet wall, that is. But actually, it's true. The passion for what I do comes from, I'm sat in my office now and I've got those two friends, pictures of them on the wall. So the days that things are not going quite right and not in the right direction we want, I just look across and think, I'm doing it for you guys. It's that passion and that drive to keep pushing forward with it.
yeah, hats off to you too. I always think charities like yourself, where it's born out of something really devastating, really sad, and actually kind of taking those cliff edge moments and turning it into something positive and really making a difference. And there's a few that I could name that really do that, and I just think, wow, it's so easy to just curl up in a ball and give in, isn't it, really, rather than change things. In terms of the support you give to people, how do people really lean on your services?
So the beauty of what we offer, it's non-clinical. So our support groups, my sales pitch to people, it's the pub without the beer. So it's that level of support. And you touched on it before about you're almost conditioned to think a certain way. So we're conditioned that you've got to go to the pub and you've got to be that brash alpha male, and we talk about sport and that's about it. Whereas the support group is the pub without the beer. We're saying, right, we've created this space. Come in and offload. And some weeks, don't get me wrong, some weeks everyone's had a good week, so they will rip into each other about the football or whatever it might be. But other weeks, they know that when someone's had a bad week or they're having a bad day, they switch off that banter for a second, and it's just a safe space for somebody to come and offload, get it all off their chest. And the clues in the name. It's a support group, not an advice group. It's not a you need to do this, this, and this. It's I've kind of been through something similar. This worked for me, and this was the outcome. Maybe give it a go. We've of everything we offer, the talks, the text support service, our support groups is the one where people really, I think, probably get the most support and they get the most out of it.
And On average, how many people would attend your support group?
I mean, it varies. If there's a big sporting event on TV, the numbers drop. There's, it's almost pointless opening the doors on Valentine's Day because the fellas can't get away from that one. But no, in all seriousness, probably on average, we're getting about 15 to 20 people through the doors. And we have dedicated groups for men and for women on different nights, different locations. But yeah, on average, across our groups, it's about 15 to 20 per week.
And just so people can understand from a funding purpose, really, and I hate that I always seem to turn this to money, but running those groups, how much does that cost you to do?
So some groups are really lucky that we're in certain centres or halls where people will give us the space for free.
Okay.
But that's unfortunately few and far between. So, on average, we're probably looking at we run 10 groups at the minute, so there's multiple throughout the week, and we probably our bill is probably on average £120 per group per month.
Okay.
So it's expensive, and then it's all the things that I'm an ex-engineer. I've never been in business. I never looked at this stuff. It's the insurance and the other things on top of that. It all mounts up, and it's quite expensive to run them. But I will never ever charge anyone for coming to our group. We don't even put collection buckets out. I don't want anyone to feel pressure to part with any money, so we cover the whole cost of that and through our fundraising.
Yeah, I guess it's an important element to not charge because some people might be going because they're having financial problems, so they then couldn't actually lean on the support they need the most because of the very reason they need the support.
Yeah, everything we do for community based, I call it the Robin Hood method. We do paid training sessions for corporate clients and people that can afford it to train their staff. And that money doesn't go to flash cars and salaries and stuff like that. We put it straight back into funding the groups and delivering free training and free talks to grassroots sports clubs and community groups so that it just removes that financial barrier. I'd hate to think that anyone could not access some immediate mental health support because they simply couldn't afford it. It shouldn't be something you have to pay for.
When you need it, you need it. It's an essential, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of, just to expand on that a bit, the training that you offer for corporate businesses, what can people purchase from you?
Oh, we do everything. We do anything from drop-in sessions and quick toolbox talks, tea break talks, half an hour awareness sessions, all the way through to and including your one-day mental health first aid champion course, the fully accredited 2-day mental health first aider course. We've done a lot of work with some big organisations over the last couple of years to deliver some bespoke training, so better mental health for managers, looking at burnout, stress awareness, and all that sort of stuff. We can do the accredited training, but we can also do the bespoke to fit their needs as well.
That must be a good source of revenue, to be fair.
It's a tough nut to crack, but we're starting to make headway. And I think 2 years ago and before that, it was a bit of a box ticking exercise for a lot of people. There are more and more organisations now that are actually taking it really seriously and putting together a full wellbeing initiative at work, and that's where we're coming in to support these companies.
I think it's because sadly, through more disasters, more personal moments where people have been affected, people are more aware now. And life's hard, isn't it? Life's been pretty tough since COVID for a lot of people. The cost implications of COVID, the changes to working practices, even the work from home. I'm not a fan of the mental effects I think it has if people work on their own rather than in an office environment where you can pass a bit of time and have a bit of banter. The more and more people I speak to now, they've had someone they know who's not necessarily been affected and it's ended within lost life, but they've had someone who's gone through a struggle and had to come through it and had to lean on support of people like you. So we are becoming all a little bit better at not just going to the main household name charities for the obvious causes.
Yeah.
I think everyone who's done some fundraising has raised some money for a form of cancer charity at some point. We've all done a heart-related charity at some point. We've all done an animal-related charity. It's just the things you work through without even realising you've done. But it's certainly, I know more people now who have done things for you or for Mind or for various mental health charities, and it's good. It's good that it's getting made aware. From a bias, men's mental health, it needs talking about. It's an important area that people don't really address.
And that's why we support everybody, but we focus our aim at male-dominated spaces because it's where the conversations aren't happening, or they haven't been happening, or people are trying to have them, and those others around them within those spaces struggle to keep up that conversation because, with the best will in the world, blokes don't like to look stupid. I always use the example of a bloke and I'm supposed to know about cars. I know nothing about cars. If I turn the key, it doesn't work. I phone them. I phone the RAC. That's it.
Yeah.
So if I walk into a garage or even into the pub and there's a conversation about cars, I'll just stay silent because I know nothing about what I'm talking about here. So I won't talk about it. And I think that's the same for mental health because so many people haven't had the exposure or they don't have the understanding. They're scared to say anything in case they look stupid. Well, actually, you'll know if it's the wrong thing to say just by saying something could help somebody. So yeah, if we can promote those conversations in these male-dominated spaces, I'm not saying less people would struggle, but more people would interact with support and care before reaching crisis point, which would ultimately reduce the numbers in losing people to suicide.
Yeah, I think it's hard, isn't it? It's hard for men in the social environments we have to feel that you can reach out. I meet up with a group of my friends from school probably once a year, if that. And it's like we've never been apart. We rip in each other within seconds and you dare do something daft because you're going to hear about it for a long period of time. And I
I
have one
love
of the
those
best,
days. I love those meetups.
one of the best days, but I'm not sure they'd be the people I call if I wanted to discuss my feelings. Whereas I've got other groups of friends who you can open a bit more to and you have different relationships. And I think the problem is it's harder to find those groups where you can kind of open up and talk about what's wrong. And you really need, which is a big step, is someone to lead that conversation in a group and
Yeah.
make other people feel comfortable.
That's what's really good about our support groups. They're led by a facilitator, which again, when you asked before about the costs, there's cost implications to training a facilitator. So they have not so much enough knowledge, but the confidence to lead some conversations. They've all got lived experience. We've got some group agreements. We don't like to call them rules because we're not at school anymore. But the big one is you leave your ego at the door. The door is the leveler. So you can have those conversations like you just said, and you're not going to get anyone sort of ripping you to pieces. There's a time and a place for it. And yes, if you make a joke, we'll have a laugh and there's some banter. But you want everyone to walk in there and feel like every single person sat in that room is the person they'd call. You're not the one that's going to rip into me and sort of judge me. You're the person that's going to go, okay, I'm here for you, I'm listening. It's really tough sometimes to manage people because there's lots of multiple personalities within that space. And it's the facilitator's job to pick the right moment to sort of throttle back a conversation or try and encourage somebody else to talk. But there's never any pressure to talk. If you just want to turn up for 2 hours and listen, then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think the key word I took from what you said there was, judgment. I know that when I didn't want to do counselling, but when I did, I found it really useful for me. I started having a session once a week. And what I loved about that was, unlike your friend circles, unlike your family members, the person didn't know who I'm talking about. Doesn't have a preconceived conception, doesn't have their own impression of that individual. And not only that, if you do go in a bit, they're not going to see them next Wednesday and feel a bit off with them because it just was a very isolated, almost safe zone. You could vent. Sometimes the reality was it was just me taking stuff the wrong way, but you could get it off your chest. It kind of became my weekly hour event, I guess, and reset and back on with me week again. And I think people don't have that release, do they? You know, even down to some of mine was, I've got young kids and I was finding them really testing, challenging. Am I doing this right? Am I doing that? Questioning yourself as a dad. You doing all you should? Should I have told them off then? Shouldn't I have told them off then? And just, I guess, just having a third party sometimes go, this is natural.
Yeah.
Everyone feels this way. And just kind of calmed me a bit and allowed me to break it down in a bit. So it's good that you can create that space where people can talk.
It's that vent, and I've always said it's like if you're trying to find a card in a deck of cards in a stack, you could get it on the first one or the 51st pick. You don't know. If you put them all out on the table, it's easy to find it, and that's the same thing. You go and vent with somebody, and you put it all out. You give yourself the answers to the questions you're asking, but no, we never sit there and go, right, I'm going to work through this myself because I need to. You've got to force yourself into that awkward bit where you're speaking to a counsellor or you've pushed yourself to a group, and then you realise, I already know all the answers. I just needed someone to listen to me whilst I work through it myself.
Yeah. That's quite a good way of putting it, actually, the deck of cards. When you started with the deck of cards, I was like, where's he going with this? But no, yeah, that's it's true. We don't ever just lay stuff out, do we? We do when we're working. When we're trying to figure out a solution, we write that down, don't we? We go through all the options and pick sometimes the better of the evils, shall we say. We might not like any of them, but we find the one that works. Yeah, we need to do it personally. In terms of fundraising and how people can get behind you, have you got any current fundraising drives, or is it go on your website, donate? What's the best route for people to support you?
Bit of everything, really. So we've got the usuals. We're on Just Giving. People can donate on there, and they can go via the website to donate. It's been quite successful, actually. We've partnered with, I think a lot of charities partner with a website called Run for Charity. So rather than us picking, we're going to do this run, you're going to come and do it for us, people can go on there and select hundreds, if not thousands, of different events. I think I had an email this morning about the Paris Marathon or something. I was like, wouldn't mind a weekend in Paris, not sure about the marathon part of it. So people can fundraise that way. We've access to skydives. People can do a charity skydive. Or also, on our website, there's a page that Vicky, our fundraising guru, who's left me in the lurch to go on maternity leave for a few months, she's set up loads of stuff on our website that you can do your own thing as well. You can have, we've got one coming up soon called Rock the Stigma. So doing a bit of music for mental health, tea for change, a bit like a coffee morning, so you can try and promote conversations at work. So anything really. We try not to stick to one or two things. It's you do you, and if you can support us along the way, then we really appreciate it.
Glad you've got one of those running links to be able to do loads of events, because everyone I seem to know these days is running.
Yeah, not me.
I'm stopping. But yeah,
that's my problem. If I start running, I'm a big lad and I can't stop. It's like just keep going down a hill.
Yeah, my knees have told me I'm too old. They're like, maybe 5k, Dave, but don't do anything further. I heard an insane challenge someone's doing the other day of they're running the length of India. So they're running 50 kilometres a day for 80 days.
No, you are. Thanks.
Yeah, I thought, wow.
I've just twitched my back thinking about that.
Yeah, I needed a nap when they told me. But some people are just unbelievable, aren't they? And the story behind that and why he's doing it was just amazing, to be fair. But yeah, everyone then sees those and it puts people off doing small challenges.
Yeah.
And actually, particularly for the smaller charities like yourself, lots of people raising 100, 200, 300 pounds kind of just keeps all those groups just ticking over for you. It doesn't need to be the big checks. You haven't got all your CEOs to pay for.
There's no 10 grand a month to keep the lights on.
Since we met you and you told me some of those stories of the emergencies, in fact, actually, some of those will really get people to understand, where you've gone and helped people in dire need? You got one you feel you're comfortable talking about?
I can give an overview into
Yeah,
detail, obviously,
yeah,
because
yeah.
of the confidentiality. But yeah, so another part that we've discussed before, and it's not something we advertise because we'd never want someone to think, oh, I've got a phone then because I need this, and we're not available because there is only a small team. But we do crisis responses as well, and we've been to people. We've got a crisis response vehicle that's all kitted out with everything. We can go at the drop of a hat and support people. And one that I've been out to in the past got a phone call in the middle of the night that someone was worried about a loved one. This is where me and Alex, who works with me, are super grateful, eternally grateful to our wives that when we get that phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning, there's no questions asked. There's just be safe, be careful, and let me know where you are. And we just go in the middle of the night and we just go and meet people. You know, I've met people in every conceivable place, places that you'd never think to go and meet someone who's having a mental health crisis. I always expected the obvious. You'd be, you know, in the dark, on the edge somewhere, or stuck at home. And I've been to people have gone to their safe space as the 24-hour gym because they knew it would be empty, or they've gone back into the office and let themselves in. So all these different places, and we've just gone, and it's been a variety. It's ranged from they just needed a chat, they just needed someone to sit there and listen, all the way through to we have actually attended and intervened in suicide attempts. Luckily, touch wood, all with positive outcomes, and we've continued to support those people and their families as well.
I remember you telling me these situations before when you came to see us, and I just thought, you know, I'm not sure I could do that. Not that I wouldn't want to, I just thought that's quite a mental toll as a job to go and do that. And, you know, I understand now it's in memory of your mates, and probably that's what gives you the strength to do it. But hats off to you. That's some hardcore mental toughness to go and support those people. And I imagine they're eternally grateful, and as are their loved ones, that you are willing to make that sacrifice and sprint out of bed at 2 in the morning to go and help people.
I never said sprint.
Okay, walk quickly.
Yeah. After 30 years of playing rugby, I get out of bed, it sounds like I'm treading on bubble wrap. I'll gently tiptoe to the door and see where it takes us.
No, it's no, well done. Without people like you doing these things, the world would be a worse place. And I said it recently. You know, we all moan about people and say nobody cares, nobody does this, and you know that's why I'm enjoying this. Talk to people like you and think, no, there are people out there that still genuinely do sacrifice for other people.
The thing that I love about this job, I know there's lots of things I love, but I meet so many people, and not to say that very good donors and funders and people that have been really kind to us, you know, like yourselves, you know, you'd never met us and you gave us a check, which was amazing, and it was we were so grateful for it. But I've met people that have got, by their own admission, nothing. You know, they can just about survive, but they would give their last 10 pence for you. They'll do anything for you. You meet the salt of the earth. They would do anything for anyone. They give you the shirt off their back, and they're the people that I meet and think, do you know what? There really are some good people in the world.
Yeah.
That's who we want to support and work with. And we have to be very careful as a charity that these people want to give us so much, but at what point are we taking too much? Because they haven't got all of that to give, but they're just so passionate to support us.
You do always have those people who try and give more than they can afford to, and there are some people that just absolutely salt of the earth, and they're generally the ones that remind you and make you sit there and think life's tougher than it needs to be for some people, isn't it? You can fall into that thing of thinking life's unfair, isn't it? And it is. We just need to make the most of that, support the people we can. I have no doubt we'll be supporting you again many times over the years. I have a lot of respect for you and your charity, and we always like supporting ones like yourselves where, without being rude, the money we donate goes genuinely straight to the cause. We have other charities where we know every single penny goes towards a bag for a child, and you're like, I know exactly how many bags I bought. it does. As a donor, that's where you want your money to go to, and that's why I want to do these, so I can bring the good charities like yourself a little bit more spotlight. If out of seeing this, you get one more supporter, one more person does a run, then it was worth the hour of our time today, wasn't it?
Definitely. And if nothing else, even if we don't get any supporters or fundraisers, if it sparks a conversation in somebody, then it's all been worth it. And to put your mind at ease, when I came to collect that cheque, I even paid for my own tram ticket.
I believe you was actually off to an awards or something when we saw you. You'd been invited somewhere last
Yeah,
time I saw you.
I think it was the BBC Make a Difference Awards, that was in Birmingham.
Yeah.
We didn't
So yeah,
win.
you even timed it so that you only had to do the travel once. Or you was like, right, I'm coming into Birmingham. Can we do it then? So no, I have to say I don't have any doubts of that with you. Sure. Otherwise, I wouldn't highlight it to everyone. So before we kind of wrap up, is there anything you'd like to say that we haven't covered?
I think we've covered the charity and everything. I'd just like to say thank you to you and to the whole company, for all your staff. Every time we come in, you're really supportive, and for doing this, for giving the smaller people a voice and a platform to go and talk about the work we do. And if anyone's listening to this and they want to get involved, it's toughenoughToCare.org or .help. They both come to the same thing, and all of our support's on there. And you'll even find the Get Help button is bigger than the Donate button. But if you want to donate, feel free. But no, thank you for having me on and giving me the time and the space just to shout from the rooftops about what we do.
No problem at all. I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy guy with everything you have to do, and I appreciate it. So, cheers everyone for watching. Make sure you either get help or, if you can, donate. £1, £5, £10, anything really does help the guys continue to provide worthwhile support. Speak to you soon.
Cheers.